Starlink of SpaceX is a satellite constellation project being developed by Elon Musk and team to give satellite internet go-to access for people in any part of the world. The plan is to comprise thousands of mass-delivered little satellites in low Earth-circling orbits, working in mix with ground handheld devices called satellite dishes. And you will use these devices to connect directly to your iPhones and other devices. Elon Musk speaks about it as a grand idea that could change the way we view and access the world around us. Nowadays, how we connect to the internet is primitive. However, Starlink might just change that in a big way. The global pandemic has shown us how much we rely on the internet, and how much it's needed to run our lives, to access knowledge, and to communicate to people distant from us. So, allow me to state how Starlink, this little Elon Musk pet project, can rise up to stardom like a rocket ship, take over the world, and disrupt yet another future dying industry. Before we get to that point, just want to say something quickly. We're on the verge of a new generation of a technological revolution. Most people don't feel it yet, but it is happening. From AI, robotics, and cryptocurrency. Just imagine when Starlink works side by side with Neuralink, Musk's other tech company specializing in human brain interfaces. OpenAI is another thing, whose mission is to create a super-friendly AI. I'm really starting to think that Musk might just be the greatest innovator of our lifetime. Maybe even for a millennium. Kids will be hanging Elon's face and his Tesla keynote dance in their bedroom walls. I mean, why not? Starlink has been progressing at rocket speed. In April, SpaceX propelled 60 additional satellites. This was the 7th clump propelled, and it brought the absolute number of satellites now in a circle to 422. And in the long run, that could number upwards of 42,000. Elon Musk has said that Starlink could start to turn out negligible web availability with 400 satellites. Yet in any event, 800 will be expected to arrive at moderate inclusion. More satellite releases are booked, and the company could start as right on time as this year. Additionally, SpaceX's Starlink is trying to test a satellite called DarkSat, which utilizes an obscured staged cluster and explanatory receiving wires to lessen brilliance by around 55%. Notwithstanding, satellites that are dull in the visual range can in any case sparkle splendidly in infrared. To counter this, SpaceX plans to add visor-like covers to its illustrative radio wires to diminish the measure of light they reflect. The organization plans to test the first visor-sat model this month, and says that by June, every single future satellite will have a visor. As the New York Times reports, researchers can't state yet whether these measures will be completely successful. However, most appear to consider them to be a positive development. Patrick Seitzer, an educator at the University of Michigan, is cheerful that the progressions will make the satellites undetectable to the naked eye, a gigantic help to expert and beginner space experts, just as individuals who simply love looking at the night sky. The great news is the means by which agreeable and how forceful SpaceX has been in attempting to fix this issue, Dr. Seitzer said. It ought to be the standard for all future rocket development. Without the remedial measures, Starlink would have been an essential change to our human experience of the night, space expert Tyler Nordgren told The Times. That shot may have been evaded. For Starlink to build its foundation in space, it needs infrastructure. Starlink's main backbone is its satellites, and they will act as sources for the wireless communication system to provide broadband internet access directly to us on Earth. From the surface, it seems like another sci-fi movie. But that's what Elon Musk does, transforming fantasy to reality, making the unthinkable thinkable. One of their alleged partners is a high-end satellite and video communications company based in Florida, Vislink. Based on research, the company provides technology that Starlink might just exactly need. Nothing is confirmed at the moment. However, this may not be the only reason SpaceX or Starlink is related to Vislink. Just a few weeks ago, a photo surfaced online of the Vislink logo being seen on a live stream of the official SpaceX launch event. In addition, SpaceX appears to conduct a lot of its operations, including testing and launching, in Florida, the same state where Vislink is headquartered. This can be nothing or something, but they are possible signs of correlation between the two companies. SpaceX has the permission to fly 12,000 satellites into low orbit, and Musk hopes for more than 30,000 in a distant future. Starlink's plan is happening before our eyes, and we are most likely witnessing another important event in the history of mankind. Starlink is a game changer, and some people just don't know it yet. The main go-to advantage of why we'll be using Starlink is the easy and fast access to the internet from wherever we are in the world. Imagine being on a beach in the Philippines and having at least 233 megabytes per second internet connection, or chilling under a palapa in Uganda while watching your favorite Netflix show with no interruptions. How amazing will that be? Third world countries where internet communication is found to be unstable and unreliable will be the obvious beneficiary of Starlink. Think of the possibilities. If that happens, telecommunication companies will be at risk. In the beginning, Musk has said that Starlink's main target is the rural areas with low-level connections. However, once it has settled and dominated the rural market, it can highly consider the urban market. I mean, why the hell not? Starlink's infrastructure and model allows it to do so. Starlink can easily scale and expand effectively and efficiently in the future without any additional hard work. Every business that has disrupted a business model before them never admittedly said that they're going to disrupt it. It's only until they do that you will start realizing they've done it already. Every industry Elon Musk touches gets the risk of being disrupted. Tesla is done for the electric car market, and the Boring Company is doing for tunneling real estate market. SpaceX has basically demonstrated a monopoly already on space travel and cheap rocket launches. Now, Starlink can do it for the old telecom industry too. It seems like all of Musk's companies are predestined to take over an industry they came into. In February of 2020, an article by Forbes spoke about the possibility of an IPO of the Starlink side of SpaceX. In this article, the author, Alex Knapp, also mentioned, on that latter point, Starlink faces competition from legacy providers like Comcast, which is building out higher bandwidth networks for customers. And for rural areas or emerging markets that are harder to reach, legacy mobile internet providers are making a huge push to build out new infrastructure for 5G data services. Verizon and AT&T are spending quite a bit of money, buying millions of feet of cable over the last 2 to 3 years, reinforcing fiber infrastructure. Because if they don't fill the void, LEO will come in to compete, says Srihari Pandit, CEO of internet service provider Stealth Communications. Think about it today. A huge amount of people subscribe to a phone service provider like Verizon, mostly for internet purposes. If they have to call someone, they use Facebook Messenger, Snapchat, or WhatsApp, you know. Regardless of whether you're a millennial or not, the future of communications will be based on this ecosystem. If people start becoming more aware of Starlink, and Starlink starts getting more critical mass attention, people won't even think of Verizon, Sprint, or AT&T anymore. Reasons can be is that it's cheaper, faster, and simpler. Factors that convince people to buy. Starlink can disrupt telecommunications, but a whole industry is at stake. But maybe it's the price of innovation. Musk's companies have historically relied on continuous federal funding. It would be easy to say now that the government of America basically saved Musk's companies on a number of occasions already. On the recent news, according to TechCrunch, SpaceX could qualify for a new $16 billion in federal funding if Starlink could prove and demonstrate a low-latency broadband network system, meaning less lagging and interruptions. Musk has already expressed that Starlink satellites can achieve it already. If that's the case, then it's only a matter of time before Elon secures another $1 billion funding for SpaceX.